this is a company that is really, had so many decades of strong growth that I think culturally it is really structured around growth. And now that growth is not there. In fact, the Taobao Tmall combined revenue which is about 47% of total revenue, actually declined a percent year over year. That was pretty shocking when you consider that that online growth, that there's still single digit online growth. Obviously, that reflects some weakness that we know in the Chinese consumer retail space. We know that's there, but it also reflects share loss. And the problem with share loss in an online sort of e-commerce situation is now you have to get you have to pay even more to get those customers back compared to how much you paid years ago to get them, habitually to use your site. Now, if they're dehabitualized, right, you've got to hire what they call CAC, customer acquisition costs, that you've got to use, and that's reflected in the higher marketing spend as a percentage of revenue that you saw, obviously squeezing profits. All the things that worked for you are now working against you, right?
So, John, do you think that Alibaba is taking the right steps, or are they discernibly taking any steps to be able to stem that share bleed?
Well, it doesn't seem so, but the problem is that now you've got obviously they're going to try to fund cloud, right? They've now got to worry about whether they're going to spend money on marketing to stem that share loss, right? Or spend that same money on cloud infrastructure, on AI. Now, that's a significant bet because, unlike the growth of cloud businesses like Microsoft's Azure and AWS in the States, where, Azure is a huge business and it grew almost 30%. China doesn't have that set of old legacy applications that are migrating to the cloud en masse right now in the States. So you don't have that growth. But I think there's some other structural issues that have got to be going on if you're only growing 6%. At least it's an acceleration from last quarter at 3% on the cloud business.
Hi, John. So China's consumer is undeniably in a tough spot now, but isn't Baba a long-term buy and hold, given, number one, the valuation opportunity, and given the fact that in the long term, again, the secular trends associated with the Chinese consumer, they're not going away anytime soon?
Right. I think, part of it depends on, I think there's a higher risk for the shares that are listed on NASDAQ, BABA, right, rather than the shares that are listed in Hong Kong, Shanghai, just because of, I think it's possible that that the SEC starts sniffing around again and doesn't like the compromise that that they have negotiated, or some side is not fulfilling their side of the compromise, and there's this delisting risk comes back. That's a possibility. But other than that, I think Baba gets interesting in the 60s because, they do have a cash pile, and it is an e-commerce business, and it's intrinsically profitable. I think they got to start to figure out how to run it and operate it as a no-growth business, but a more profitable one. Once I see signs of that, then I think maybe shares get interesting again.